So here's the funny thing. You saw an easy reason why Nebraska wanted to be on the east sidelines for so long. How snug is it on that press box sideline for their personnel? Like, that's the downside of being over there. While UTEP was baking in the sun, Nebraska's like, man, this sucks. We don't even have any freedom of movement over here. Were you not a little taken aback by that, Shafe, or did you notice?
They did it during the COVID year, but it was weird. It was one of those things that you knew was going to happen. And still, as the game starts and you're doing the thing that you've done for 13 years and you're looking across at the sidelines, looking for key numbers. You're like, wait a minute, I'm looking too far across the field. And so you just, I had to adjust to it. It's different. It is definitely different. I mean, we'll see what that stadium looks like in a couple years after the grass gets put in and all the other changes that they, at least at the field level, want to do. But yeah,
according to Ravi, they'll be getting ready for the college football playoff. Pretty exciting.
Oh, they're hosting the CFP at some point.
2026. That's Ravi's year. He said bookmark it.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll file that one away, and
I assume they'll have a bye by then, though. So no,
he assumes so. They'll be firmly perched in that bye week spot, Shafe.
Wow.
No, I don't want to make outlandish claims. Just a regular old playoff spot by 2026. You don't need a first four.
Ravi and Ross Perot here for 2026.
I don't think Ross is running in 2026.
It's not even.
I don't know if Ross Perot is here in 2024. Is he?
I don't know. I
Shane, DOA. Ross Perot. Shane's up looking for.
Yeah, you don't have to look for it. I'm pretty sure he's.
I believe he's
outro.
He's left this mortal coil. Shafe.
It's my political rant this morning.
Yes.
Got that out of the way.
Is Ross Perot dead or alive? He really took a controversial stance there, DB.
You know me, team controversy.
Yep, he really, he's here for third-party candidates, apparently.
Me and Prince. Oh, wait. Never mind.
Also, R.I.P. Pour one out.
R.I.P. 2019. I just looked it up.
For Perot or
Ross?
Okay.
Shapes like WTH. What a debacle.
This segment never had a chance.
Got off to a good start with Dawson Mara. That's all I know.
You brought up a sentiment with Mike the Miz, Cortez Mills, that it seems to be pretty popular lately. It seems like it's a reason we heard as to why Mac Markway was just like, hey, I'm just going to show up. The whole I want to play with Dylan Raiola thing seems like it might pick up some steam.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that is evident about Nebraska just going to a true freshman quarterback and somebody like Dylan Raiola, who had attended all of these camps and knows all of these recruits, he's just a known name. I mean, Nebraska just hasn't had this a lot that I can recall where they have someone that has national cachet on the college football scene. Like, even their best players in the last 2 decades, I mean, Sue was a reserve guy who did all of his talking by ragdolling quarterbacks. Amir Abdullah, was a big deal, but he didn't transcend college football to where you had people talking about him all the time. I think Dylan Raiola is that talent, and he can be a real Pied Piper. Like, he can lure a lot of talent to Lincoln, because if you saw it Saturday, and you know that it's UTEP, and obviously the thing about it is it didn't matter who the opponent was. Look at those throws. Look at that 2-minute drill. Look at the way he stepped into that pass to Jamal Banks, and you could read his body language after he threw it. He knew he threw that perfectly. You don't know that the other guy's going to come down with it, but he put that ball exactly where he wanted. One of the best throws of the entire day wasn't caught, and it was the pass to Isaiah Nair in the first quarter that was beautifully thrown right at the end zone line.
100.
I mean, that might have been one of the best deep ball throws we've seen in that stadium from someone wearing a Nebraska uniform.
I told Robbie, do you remember how early he threw that?
Yeah, like, I mean, his anticipation is so good. And we're going to sit here and we're going to wax poetic about him for a while, but you saw it in the very first game. Like, there are things that he's able to do that we just haven't seen Nebraska quarterbacks do ever, maybe. I mean, I know that sounds so absurd to say about a guy after one game, but that's the kind of arm talent he has. And then you throw in that cachet that I'm talking about, and people want to play with them. I mean, I joked with Dawson Merritt last night. You told me in the spring, you and your dad couldn't stop talking about how much he looked like Patrick Mahomes and dressed like Patrick Mahomes and talks like Patrick Mahomes. You watched him play on Saturday. And Dawson's like, it's the same guy. Same thing, same guy. And Mahomes is the king of football right now. So if you have someone who looks like his prince, people are going to be really excited about that. And I think that's going to be a big driver for them. It's a big driver for them in terms of the transfer portal too, when we get to that. And so it's a really unique spot, and Matt Rhule and his staff have to figure out how they can best take advantage of it. But there's no doubt in my mind that when some of these guys that they really liked, and they know like them, committed elsewhere, they knew that they had a ticket for that Nebraska-Colorado game. And if it looked like it did against UTEP, people were going to be excited, and they are. And who knows what it's going to look like against Colorado and going forward either.
That's awesome. I can't wait till David Sanders changes his mind. Hey,
that's one I'm a little less. I know that you have better ins there than I do. That Tennessee NIL package right now is something else.
Hey, so Schaefer, I know I'm not gonna go all Ravi, and I'm here for anti-Nebraska running backs because Ravi hates the running back.
I said they're just fine.
But man, I'm not. 200 yards is hard to go out and do every week. But do you kind of like how somebody does a little bit everything different? Like they have there's differences to them all. Like I kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were going to put together a committee, you sort of like how this looks in the sense that you have different guys for different roles. I was, like I think a lot of people, was pretty impressed by Dante Dowdell. The fumble obviously took away some of it, but the way he came out and the way he ran early on, that impressed me. I mean, it really did. And then, of course, you had Emmett Johnson with a big run. I still don't think they have a guy who's a home run hitter as part of that committee. I just don't know that there's this sudden speed, quickness where you're going to get someone who just breaks a 65-yard run. In a game, and that's fine. They don't necessarily have to have that.
Quentin Ives.
Well, we'll see.
Just saying. I feel like both of you guys want to laugh at me. I feel a little. I feel so.
How far down the depth chart is? You got to go a little ways before we're talking about Quentin Ives, right? I
mean, he's no Ravi Lulla, but still,
is he 5th or 6th?
Whatever, haters.
I'm just saying,
7th.
You're not going to be in situations where that guy's going to see the field a lot. So if that's your home run hitter, that's, it's like having a guy in AA. That's nice, but he's not helping the major league club right now.
Just needs David Sanders Jr. blocking for him. That's all. All right.
You're on one right now.
That's next year best case scenario.
Yeah. Shape, I stay on one, but let me ask you something here, Mike J, just because I think it's really interesting. How hard or easy is it for you, especially now that you have another week under your belt, to not sequentially say, well, I saw Team X do this, so this week it should look like this? Or are you just like, man, I kind of just want to see how this is?
I think, for me, it's relatively easy. Over the last couple of years, it's been made easier not to go all in on what you saw in week one and transpose that across college football. I mean, there's a lot of teams that didn't have their best showing in week one. I love I pretty much every radio interview I'll do this week, I'm going to reuse a line that I always enjoy it. And it's the biggest jump a team makes is from week 1 to week 2. You hear every coach say that every year. I love it. I think there is truth to it, but we've said it so many times. I feel like it sounds almost hollow at this point. But that's the thing. I mean, Nebraska played really well, and they can still play better. There's still more for them out there. They can still have a cleaner, better performance. They can still, Dylan Raiola can maybe find a receiver down the field that he missed this time out, or you don't put the ball on the ground, or the defense doesn't have that one drive where everything just went wrong. So that's the thing about college football. And your last week is your last week. It doesn't matter what you did previously. It matters what you're going to do going forward. And that's Rhule's mindset. I appreciated the way that he went out and said that their season isn't entirely based on the Colorado game. I think that's important for your head coach to say that. especially when you've got a team that, when they've been given opportunities, have looked them in the face and shrank. So Nebraska has an opportunity in front of it on Saturday. It doesn't need to feel like it's the biggest and most important part of the season, but they have an opportunity. So what are they going to do? They got to rely on the training and the practice and everything they've been doing. That's what Matt Rhule is, preaching. When he says it's a day-by-day operation, he wants them to reflect on what they've been doing day by day, not just looking ahead or not circling Colorado. I mean, the game's important, but I thought that was a really critical part of yesterday's media session. And it's, it's coach speak, right? But I still think it's important that he said it.
I don't know. I love it. Like, you talk about simple versus easy. Well, you prepare, you take care of your body, you get your rest, you be a good teammate, you stay in the moment, you practice, and you realize that all those other things aren't important anymore. And it's just, and I'm like, yeah, like it is that easy, to be honest.
Simple.
No, it is that easy, because here's the thing, Schaefer. How many of us, if we had the blueprint to what we thought would be a pattern of success, would just do what we're told? If you told me, hey, DB, you could make $1,500 on Friday if you do this, this, and this, I guarantee you I would do this, and this. Like, what else is there after you see these teams in college football and then the pros get so distracted by other things? Like, why wouldn't you just do it?
Well, that gets into a really deep conversation about the mental psyche of repetition and staying on track with things and the
being able to be consistent and being able to endure and being able to.
You don't have time to do anything else, though.
Right, but that's part of the problem for some people.
Is it?
Is they want time to do something else.
Well, guess what?
That is a big part of the conversation, actually, which is why they are now receiving compensation, which is good.
Are you tougher on people now, Schaefer, because they are being compensated?
No, that doesn't really bother me. Like, it's the same thing as it was before. They're a college football team. They are college football players. There's an expectation that they have, that they want, and that fans have and the media has, and I just move forward with it. I mean, I didn't look at yesterday thinking, wow, Jamal Banks made that catch, they better up his NIL for the next week. I don't care about that. Like, I have never understood the necessity to try to think of these players as dollars and cents. Like, they're compensated because they're putting in time. They're not compensated because their entirety of their worth is just based on financials. And it doesn't mean that I can't enjoy the sport of football because they're compensated. Like, the conversation always seems so backwards to me because I don't care. Like, I really don't. I mean, Dante Dowdell shouldn't have to give money back because he fumbled a football. What he needs to do is just not fumble the football. Like, that's what's important here.
Well, and let's not pretend like all of us haven't worked with people that got paid just for putting the time in, whether they were good at it or not. So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what my colleagues think of me at Husker 24/7. They might have that opinion right there.
I'll tell you, Brunson and I.
I'm still showing up to work. And
that guy is absolutely stealing based on what the time and effort he puts in. Yeah, I don't.
They might think that, but I'm still going to show up to work every day. And by show up to work, I mean just turn my computer on.
All right, you ready to do a little fact or fiction?
Sure.
Cade McNamara is going to be a quality quarterback in the Big Ten.
Can we get a definition of quality?
Well, I mean,
better than Iowa had last year.
Yeah, but it's a pretty low bar. Like, okay, so
bar, but I mean,
are we saying? Can I give you a name? Is Cade McNamara at Iowa, Tanner Morgan at Minnesota? Is that what we're saying here?
I mean, kind of. Although he put up good numbers, though. McNamara, he threw it well. And this is after he hit a couple guys in the back of the helmet with a ball.
Well, I mean, it's still Illinois State, right? Like,
yeah. Okay. How about this one? Chillis will struggle in East Lansing.
They struggled on Friday. I'm going to say fiction, though. I think there's a lot of talent there. I think Jonathan Smith's a good coach. I think they'll get that on track at some point.
Okay. Michigan will continue to plod along, racking up W's.
Yeah, that's a fact. I mean, they have a talent disparity. They don't play that hard of a. Well, they do have Texas coming up, so they do have one very challenging game. But yeah, I think they're an upper Big Ten team, even with maybe less talent than they had last year.
Notre Dame,
definitely less talent.
Notre Dame is the 5 seed.
That's fiction. I think Notre Dame's getting a bye.
They can't get a bye.
They can't because they don't have a
because they don't have a conference.
No conference.
No,
5
I
is.
did not know that. All right. Well, then, yeah, they're the 5 seed. I think they're one of the 4 best teams in college football. But if they can't be in that, then they're the 5.
Whoa. Okay. Bama will be just fine.
Fact. I think Kalen DeBoer's a good coach. I mean, when we're saying just fine, like I think they're going to be in the college football playoff. I don't think they're going to win the national title this year, but they're still going to be no worse than 8th in the country by the time it's all said and done.
Dan Jackson is apparently the greatest defensive coordinator in the history of Idaho Vandals football.
I'm a big Dan Jackson guy. I'm also a big Jason Eck guy. Whoever hires him in this offseason is getting a hell of a coach. If you're winning at Idaho, and put aside the 24-14 loss to Oregon, that's a good performance. But they're winning games at Idaho, and they are very fun offensively. Like, that's a very good FCS team.
Let me give you guys a deep cut. Okay, you ready? Because I think they're kind of left for dead, and they're dangerous. They're hosting Mississippi State this weekend. This won't be the last time the 3 of us talk about Arizona State this year.
They got a good coach. I mean, I think that they're kind of a sneaky team in the Big 12. I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Me too. Right? Like, nobody's really going to talk about Arizona State a ton, but they're definitely on my radar. Right? Don't they strike you as the type of team where it's like, man, they're interesting?
I mean, they have a collection of pretty good athletes. They always have a collection of pretty good athletes. I mean, their hire they had, it's Dillingham, right? Like,
yeah, Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah, I could not come up with the name for the life of me.
Oregon OC, I think, correct?
They really, really wanted him, and he had to wade through some things early on. But I think they put together a pretty good team, and the recruiting operation solid. And I think it's not hard to get athletes to Tempe. We'll put it that way. So they always are going to have skill guys.
There's a lot to like there.
I'm going to give you another sneaky game this weekend. You ready, Schaefer?
Yes.
Tulane will give K-State all they want and then some.
Well, that's nothing new. They've done that before. They just don't have Willie Fritz to back them this time around. I got to say, Willie Fritz hurt my feelings with that performance against UNLV.
Schaefer, you got feelings?
When it comes to Willie Fritz and the 75% covers over the last 10 years.
That's our guy, Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. Appreciate it, Schaefer. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Schaefer.
Hey, guys.